Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at the matchup between the Tennessee Volunteers defense and the Mizzouri Tigers offense. Let's go ahead and jump into the numbers. All right, so starting it off with Tennessee's total defense, we are ranked the number 21st team in the country in total defense with 2,876 yards given up. That's good for 319.6 yards per game given up and 4.7 yards per play. We're also the number 21st scoring defense in the game, giving up 18.4 points per game. All right, now Mizzou's offense is ranked number 36 in the country in total offense with 3,907 yards. That's good for 434 yards per game, 6.5 yards per play, and they are also ranked the number 35th scoring offense in the country, scoring 32.4 yards per game. All right, now for Tennessee's rushing defense versus Missouri's rushing offense. Tennessee is ranked the number 13th rushing defense in the entire country, only allowing 876 yards on the season, 97.3 yards per game, 2.8 yards per carry, and we've given up 9 touchdowns. Missouri's rushing offense is number 76 in the country with 1,343 yards, 149 yards per game, 4.2 yards per carry, and they've scored 17 touchdowns on the ground. All right, Tennessee's passing defense, we are ranked number 53rd in the country, giving up 2,000 yards on the season, 222 yards per game. We are allowing 65% completions, giving up 8 touchdowns. We have 9 interceptions. We are also the number 8th ranked sack team in the entire country. We have 30 on the season. That's good for about 3.2 per game. All right, and Missouri's passing offense is ranked number 23 in the country with 2,564 yards, 284.9, about 285 yards per game. They are completing passes at 65%. They have 18 touchdowns. They've only thrown 5 interceptions, and they are ranked the number 47th team in terms of sacks allowed. They have allowed 16 on the season. That's good for about 1.78 per game. All right, so we can already tell just looking at the overall stats on paper, it looks like Tennessee does match up very well with Missouri's offense. But this game is going to be challenging. Let's go ahead and jump into a few more stats, and then we're going to jump into the key players for Missouri. All right, now for Tennessee's red zone defense versus Mizzou's red zone offense. Tennessee is ranked number 55 in the country in red zone defense, and we are allowing scores on 81% of red zone trips. So 12 touchdowns, 10 field goals on 27 attempts. 7 of those touchdowns are rushing, and 5 of them are passing. Mizzou is ranked the number 1 red zone offense in the entire country. They're scoring 97% of the time in their red zone trips. 25 of them are touchdowns, 12 of them have been field goals. That's on 38 attempts. Out of the touchdowns, 15 were rushing and 10 were passing. Now let's get into the third down defense versus the third down offense. Tennessee is ranked number 27th in third down defense. We are allowing 33% of third down opportunities, and Mizzou is ranked number 58. They are converting at 41%. All right, so looking at all those numbers, again, it looks like Tennessee is going to be the more dominant team versus Missouri's offense, okay? But all that is just on paper. The one thing that does stand out glaringly is that Missouri is the number 1 team in the country in red zone offense. So we're going to have to find some ways to stop what they like to do. And they do a lot of different things. You're going to see a lot of motion from here to there, getting the ball out in flats with leverage, things like that. Basically, they're going to try to find ways to get the football to their playmakers. What I've noticed, though, is they have struggled whenever teams blitz them in that red zone. So this might be a game where Coach Banks is going to have some exotic blitzes dialed up for those red zone situations. With all that being said, Missouri does have a few very dynamic playmakers on offense. I want to jump into them right now. All right, the first one obviously is going to be their quarterback, Brady Cook. He's number 12, 6'2", 205 pounds. He has 2,471 yards on the season, 16 touchdowns passing, 5 interceptions, and he is completing his passes at 67.3%. Now, he also has 69 carries on the season for 173 yards. That's only about 2.5 yards per carry. Okay, he's got 5 touchdowns on the ground as well. And, he passes the ball about 30 times a game, and he runs it about 6 times a game. So whenever you look at Brady Cook, okay, he is a very athletic quarterback, and he throws beautiful passes. I think that he's a very underrated quarterback, or he's just not getting talked about enough this football season, but he is really good, okay? He runs that offense beautifully. He knows where to go, and again, he's going to drop those footballs right in the bucket. Now, his rushing numbers don't necessarily look great, okay? He's not a run first guy, okay? But he will run when things break down. They also will run him on some quarterback draws and on some read options. So, we'll see that maybe 2 to 3 times throughout a game. And then for the rest of the times that he's running it is going to be whenever things kind of break down. So this is going to be a game where Tennessee's defense is going to have to, number one, have good pass rush lane integrity. We've got to maintain our pass rush lanes and don't let him get outside of that pocket too much. Now, I would not say that we're going to sacrifice a pass rush to stay inside of our pass lanes. We have got to get way more pressure on Brady Cook than we have for these past 3 games. It seems like since Haddon went down, our pass rush has just completely and totally gone away. We've got to get it back in this game, okay? Absolutely have to for us to have any chance to be able to win it. There's a few more good playmakers on this team that Brady Cook can get that football to, and we've got to try to stop him before he can get the football to him, because I think that we're going to have some mismatches, in the secondary especially, and, just pass rush is going to be critical. Probably need to bring some more blitzes. We probably need to blitz a lot more than we have these past few weeks. Obviously, up against UConn, we're not going to show a whole lot. And, we've also kind of sat back and just said, hey, we're going to stop one person on this offense, and kind of haven't really played, that bump and run, come up in your face coverage on the outside with our secondary guys. But this is a game that we're going to have to mix all of those things up. We're going to get into some more of these playmakers here in just a second. But the other thing that I wanted to point out about Brady Cook is he's only 6'2". Something that I have not noticed out of this D-line really throughout this entire season is getting our hands up and trying to bat down passes, okay? If we're going to be blitzing a lot in this game, the middle of the field could be open. So we've got to try to get our hands up if we can't get home and at least bat that football down, or just try to make the windows a little bit more difficult for Brady Cook and hopefully get some inaccurate passes down the football field. Now let's go ahead and jump into the rest of these key players. Next guy is Luther Burton III. This is that dude right here. He's him. Number 3 on their roster, 5'11", 208 pounds. He plays wide receiver, 64 catches on the season for 958 yards, 7 touchdowns, 15 yards per catch. He has about 7 catches per game. They're going to target him a few more times than that. Now, this is the guy that Tennessee is going to have to find a way to shut down, okay? Maybe not shut down, but at least slow down. Somebody needs to be dedicated to him wherever he goes, and they move him all over the daggum field. He's going to motion, okay? He's going to be in the backfield, orbit motions all the way across the field motions. They're going to have him in the slot. They're going to have him outside. They're going to send him vertical. They're going to get the football out to him in some quick screens. He's like 45% of what they like to do on offense. The ball is going to come to him at some point. Somebody has got to account for Luther Burton at all times. Now, in situations where they try to spread us out, try to isolate Luther, or try to hide him somewhere where we can't necessarily double team him, we're going to have to do something. Like, we're going to have to know what the route combinations are, and we just have got to key on him very, very heavily. Now, they do have some other playmakers, so we can't, dedicate everyone just to Luther, but at least one person on every single play. I would say this might be a game where you just dedicate a man to him for the entire game. Somebody follows him wherever he goes, type of a deal. We're going to have something completely different drawn up for this game than what we have done in previous games up against different players. This is the best, probably, playmaker period that we've seen this entire season, and he's utilized that way. So we did a good job up against the Aggies earlier in the season, kind of slowing down some of their playmakers. He's a similar guy, but I just think that he works a lot better in their offense. And, I just cannot keep saying this enough. If we want to have a chance to win, we've got to slow down Luther Burton for sure. All right, next guy is their running back, Cody Shrader. He's number 7. He's 5'9", 214 pounds. He has 162 carries on the season, 919 yards, 10 touchdowns, almost 6 yards per carry, and he's getting about 18 carries per game. All right, so Shrader is a guy that's played a lot of college football. He's coming up on 5,000 yards of offense. So we've got to make sure that we have him bottled up. One of the things that I will say, though, and this is just how my feel for the game has gone from watching Mizzou on film, it seems like they will start to kind of run him maybe once or twice on their first drive. And then after that, they get really, really pass heavy. And then they'll sneak runs into him throughout the football game. Now, they will also, throw the football out to him in the flats if we don't cover it up. A lot of times, though, I think that they use him as more of like a decoy to try to open up some things down the field. That's what this team really wants to do. But he's a guy that we can't sleep on him, okay? He does a really good job of pressing up to the line of scrimmage and finding those creases. He gets behind his blockers very, very well. And, I think that we're going to do a good job of stopping him. We've got a great rush defense. Question is, are we going to get too beside ourselves trying to slow down Missouri's passing game and then kind of have some holes and stuff and lanes open up in the running game? Seems like throughout the season, that's what Missouri has been able to do. And I think that if we can stop him, if we can just make Missouri have to pass the football, we'll say 45 plus times, I feel like this game really will favor Tennessee. Next guy is number 1, Theo Whis. He is 6'2", 192 pounds. He has 41 catches on the season, 530 yards, 5 touchdowns, about 13 yards a catch, and he gets about 4.5 catches a game. All right, so Theo is more of their vertical threat, okay? They like to try to work him in those seams, and, that's the guy that our safeties are really going to have to be keen on hard, okay? The safeties are going to see a whole lot of Theo Whis. He's a good player. Whenever I came into this week, though, I thought he was like 6'4", 6'5". Find out he's only 6'2", and I think that I could say that about most of their team. For some reason, man, they just look big in those jerseys. But Tennessee is actually a much bigger team. We should be the much more physical team as well. We're just gonna come up, tackle them, stick them, play physical football. Referees have not thrown a whole lot of, pass interference flags this season. So let's go out there, let's play physical early on, and let's see how are they going to call this game. All right, but Theo is a guy, he's their number 2 guy, but he's a guy that we're going to have to try to stop. He can make plays with the football in his hand. Then we'll also get it out to him, on some quick screens, things like that, just to try to get him going. I think that we can kind of bottle him up. But the main guy that we have to worry about on this offense is definitely going to be Burton, and Theo Whis is going to be number 2. All right, and number 3, as far as the wide receivers go, is going to be number 5, Mookie Cooper. Okay, he's 5'9", 185 pounds. He plays wide receiver. All right, he's got 30 catches, 391 yards, no touchdowns on the season. He's got 13 yards per catch, and he gets about 3 catches per game. Now, Mook is a guy that Missouri likes to get the football to out in space, okay? He's a transfer from Ohio State, and, for whatever reason, he couldn't play there, came down here, and seems like he's kind of getting a better opportunity. So I'm happy for him in that aspect, but I feel like Tennessee should be able to shut him down, okay? Like I said, he's a guy that they get the football to out in space. So wide receiver screens, or they will run everyone off vertically and kind of have Mookie be a guy that comes underneath that and just try to, make our secondary guys, linebackers, have to come up and tackle him in space. He is shifty, he is quick, he is fast, but you see he doesn't have any touchdowns on the season. Again, I think a lot of that is just due to the way that he's used. They don't use him very much vertically, so this is going to be a situation where we just have to come up and make sure that we tackle him. As long as we can do that, we'll be fine. All right, so what I've seen from Missouri on film is that they are a team that wants to pass the football. This is a vertical passing game. They're going to stretch the field vertically, which means that they're going to drive our secondary guys back. And a lot of times they'll sneak some people underneath that, whether that's with some shorter passes, screens, things like that, or whether it's with their running game. They don't really want to run the football. I can almost promise you that. That's not what they want to do. They're just kind of doing it because they feel like they have to do it. But if we get them in a situation where they see, well, we can't really run this football, they're going to give up on it. And they're going to throw the football as much as possible. So that's what Tennessee needs to do, is come out first and foremost, stop Missouri from running. Don't ever let them start running that football. Make them one-dimensional. Whenever we do that, we can start to get exotic with some of our blitz packages. And, obviously, if our front 4 is getting home by themselves, this game could get out of hand pretty quickly. That's the key, though, to this game, is being able to get constant pressure on Brady Cook. That is the biggest deal. That's the biggest thing. Now, obviously, we talked about Missouri's playmakers on the outside. They've got some good ones. Burton is by far the best. He's probably the second best wide receiver in this country, okay? I can't put him above Marvin Harrison Jr. I just can't. But I would say that he is number 2. He's really good. we've got to find a way to slow him down. I'll be interested to see what Coach Banks wants to do, from a scheme perspective to do just that. Does he dedicate a guy to kind of follow him around the entire field? Maybe. Something else that we have not talked about is that Burton got kind of banged up in that Georgia game last week. Is he going to be at full tilt? Is he going to play? I fully expect for him to play. How healthy is he right now? I don't know, but that's going to play a big factor in this game. Again, he's like 45% of their offense. So got to find ways to shut him down. And the best way to do that is to get after that passer. The best way to do that is to stop the run and to be able to dial up these blitzes and get home as consistent as possible. So something else that I also want to talk about right here at the end of this video is these are two of the most penalized teams in this country. All right, Tennessee is ranked number 126 in the country out of 133 teams in penalties per game with 8.4. And Missouri's not much better. They're number 114th in the country with 7.2 penalties per game. All right, and obviously, that is a big deal, right? These are two very heavily penalized teams. And I'm just curious to see how the referees are going to call this game with the, potential SEC and playoff implications that are at stake in this game. Do they try to go ahead and get Tennessee a loss to make sure that Georgia can get into the SEC championship, or are they going to try to play it more fair? I don't know, man, but I will say this: Tennessee's going to have to, number one, clean up penalties. Okay, there's no reason that we are ranked that freaking low in penalties throughout this entire nation. Okay, that's just, we've got to get that cleaned up. I know that Josh Heupel's teams are always very heavily penalized, but I feel like this season has been even worse. I also kind of feel like the referees and the SEC kind of has it out for Tennessee for whatever reason, but that is a story for a different video. I just wanted to make the point that we have got to overcome the referees, and us as fans, we probably need to be a little bit more vocal with the way that the referees are penalizing Tennessee so much, and especially so much more than the teams that Tennessee's playing up against. That's something that we can kind of get riled up on social media. All right, something that we can do to kind of help this team out, because trust me when I tell you, if we make enough noise, it's going to get back to the SEC and to these referees. Hey, they have social media too, okay? And they, probably read a whole lot of this stuff too. So let's try that out and see if, hopefully we can get a better called game, or at least get it called more evenly, so that it's not so one-sided for our Vols, and give us the best opportunity to win. Hey, thank y'all as always for tuning into the channel. Appreciate all the comments and love. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.